Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the meeting of the new government at the presidency. For the international scene, World Health Organization said the Indian COVID-19 variant detected in at least 53 territory. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received this morning his new government at the Palace of the Republic. A day of symbolic importance. The new government is composed of 26 ministerial portfolio, of which a large part of the government has been renewed with 7 new members, of which 4 are women. Among the new members of the government are the Minister of Interior, Saeed Nur Hassan, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble Abdile, the Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdo, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibo Mumin Asowe, the Minister Delegate in charges of Digital Economy and Innovation, Mariam Hamadou Ali, the Minister Delegate in charge of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, and the Secretary of State in charge of Investment and Private Sectors Development, Safiya Muhammad Ali Gadile. It should be noted that the new number of women in the government has been doubled. The 2 new ministerial departments, namely the Minister of Youth and Culture and the Ministry in charge of Digital Economy and Innovation, have joined the others, while some have been slightly reorganized. Thus, the Minister of Equipment and Transport became the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment. The Ministry of Labor in charges of administration reform became the Minister of Labor in charge of formalization and social protection, and the Minister of Housing became the Ministry of City, Urbanism and Housing. In the main, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has assembled the new government team. This government is part of a dynamic of continuity, the consolidation of economic social development gains, the fight against poverty and others. In terms of challenges, the number one of the Republic invited the ministers of his government to increase their efforts to improve the well-being of the Djiboutian population. Indeed, the President asked the minister to work and be in contact with all citizens to better serve them and make the government's action even more perceptible to everyone. The new team thanked the head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, for his confidence and reaffirmed their commitment to work in the best interest of the nation. The head of state, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, said in his speech, I would like to welcome you to this government council, the first of this mandate. First of all, I would like to congratulate you. Listen to the head of state.
الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين. Mesdames et messieurs les ministres, je dois vous souhaiter d'abord la bienvenue à ce conseil du gouvernement.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear ministers, I welcome you to this Council of Government, the first of this mandate. I would like to begin by congratulating the ministers who have just joined the government team. This new government reflects several things. The first is the greater number of women who have just taken up this high ministerial post. This is neither a coincidence nor a quality. It is the result of our society's progress towards the fair recognition of the exceptional contribution of our country's women in the construction of our nation and its development. Women have always been part of every fight for justice, for human dignity, for solidarity. They carry the will to overcome the suffering of the world. Women are optimism made visible. It is this optimism that I wanted to infuse into the government's actions, particularly on subjects that our fellow citizens expect a lot of, such as the fight against poverty, youth, and the development of new economics, the improvement of the living environment, and purchasing power. Ladies, chosen for your skills and your exceptional professional background, you have major portfolios. I have no doubt that you will put the finance of your mind and your big heart at the service of Djiboutians.
The second thing that the composition of the government reflects is the commitment made during the election campaign, which I am determined to fulfill without betraying our failing. Listen once again to the head of state.
La seconde chose que traduit la composition gouvernementale porte sur les engagements pris.
The second thing that the composition of the government reflects is the commitments made during the electoral campaign and that I have at heart to fulfill without betraying or failing. I am committed, and therefore you are committed, to results. Some of the ministers among you are in the continuity of government action. For others, the function is new. What remains is, however, the culture of results and the strict evolution of your actions, both in terms of public policies and reforms and in terms of cooperation and coordination. I want your efforts to be even more sustained, your actions more incisive. Nothing must make you lose sight of the priority of all priorities, the employment and employability of Djibouti's youth. Our educational system, higher education, must open more opportunities for technical and vocational training to give every young person the opportunity to make a living from a trade. No young person should be left by the wayside. No young person should be without a solution. We will multiply opportunities by developing new economic sectors, particularly in the new economy, to relieve the congestion of professional outlets, making our labor market more flexible. Taxation, financing mechanisms, and training are all effective levers if we put our efforts and thoughts into synergy. I, therefore, want the necessary reforms in all these areas to be implemented promptly by the entire government. Ladies and gentlemen, in government action, there are no preconceptions, No prejudices and no cliques, except a collective, a shared ambition, a clear goal to achieve a solidarily and inclusive development, a resolute and courageous march towards an emerging Djibouti. We are all servants of the serving people. Let us be faithful to them in our actions.
Merci de votre attention. Voilà.
The spokesman of the government, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, has indicated in his intervention that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, has assembled the new government team. This government is part of a dynamic of continuity, the consolidation of economic social development gains, the fight against poverty, and others. In terms of challenges, the number one of the Republic invited the ministers of his government to increase their effort to improve the well-being of the Djiboutian population. The entire staff of the Ministry of Justice gave a warm welcome to the Minister of Justice, Ali Hassan Bahdoun, this morning following his reappointment as a head of the ministry. On his arrival, the minister was greeted by a line of honor formed by the entire staff, where he was delighted with the welcome of his close collaborators. After the warm welcome, an emotional ceremony followed in the minister's offices, during which Minister Ali Hassan Bahdoun said he was happy to continue his public service mission, that of working for the people and contributing in his file to the construction of the happiness of the Djiboutian people. The Minister of National Education Vocational Training, Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud, received the head of the Omni Cloud company, specialized in digital technology. The meeting took place in the presence of the Secretary General of the MINFOP, Mohamed Abdallah Mahyoub. The discussions focused on the development of digital technology in the education systems and the strengthening of connectivity in the country's schools, especially in rural schools. The discussion made it possible to review the project to install rooms connected to the satellite system. The implementation of this project is part of the reinforcement of the quality of education through digital technology and internet. MENFOP intends to reduce the disparities in digital education between the capital and the regions. Minister Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud and the head of the Omni Cloud company laid the foundations for a tripartite collaboration between MENFOP and the Omni Cloud company and the Egyptian Ministries of Education. Cooperation mechanisms on the digitization of national educational content have already been put in place. The Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ms. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, received this noon, Wednesday, May 26, in her offices, the American delegation that is staying in Djibouti. The American delegation is composed of the Child One Charity Foundation, founded by American football superstar Demario Davis and Joshua Norman, as well as the head of the construction company Van Team. And from the Djiboutian diaspora in USA, Mr. Dirane and Mr. Abdurrahman were among the American delegation. The Minister of Social Affairs Solidarity, Ulufa Ismail Abdo, welcomed the American delegation. The minister then recalled the various projects and programs carried out by MAS for the benefit of vulnerable populations. For their part, the two American football stars, Demario Davis and Joshua Norman, recalled the objectives of their visit, the help to vulnerable population with their foundation of American football stars. The president of the Port and Free Zone Authority, Abubakar Omar Haddi, received this morning a delegation from the large Saudi Farm Vision ambassador led by Dr. Abdul Aziz Al-Baz at the Damerjog Industrial Park. The visit is part of strengthening the bond of friendship and cooperation between the two countries and follows many high-level contacts to concretize a project to establish Saudi companies in Djibouti It is precisely in this perspective that these firms, acting as an advisor to the Saudi authorities, arrived in Djibouti to study the conditions of investment in our country, the opportunities of our free zones, as well as the most appropriate investment model to facilitate the penetrations of Saudi companies wishing to expand their market in Africa. It should be noted that the ambassador of Djibouti in Saudi Arabia, Diaydin Said Bamakrama, also took part in the meeting. Yesterday morning, the meeting room of the Chamber of Commerce hosted a signing ceremony of a partnership agreement between the Chamber of Commerce and the Red Crescent of Djibouti. The president of the Red Crescent, Mr. Abdi Farah, and the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Yusuf Musa Dawale, have initiated together the partnership agreement. The signing of this agreement aimed to strengthen the activities of the Red Crescent and further develop relations between the two parties. As part of the strengthening and protection of people with disability, the National Agency for People with Disability and PHA, in collaboration with UNFPA, organized this morning at the People's Palace a workshop on the harmonization of the law on the promotion and protection of people with special needs. This workshop was chaired by the Director General of INPH, Mr. Duali Said Mahmoud. This convention aims to promote, protect, and ensure the intrinsic dignity of people living with disability of all kinds. This workshop was attended by the President of the National Commission for Human Rights, Mr. Suleiman Udin, the representative of UNFPA, Mr. Aisha Ibrahim, and the Deputy Representative of UNDP, Mr. Gael Olivier, the Director of Communication of INPH, Mr. Muna Abubakar Siddiq, the Interministerial Department, and some of deputies of the National Assembly. For his part, the General Director of the National Agency for the Person with Disability, Mr. Duali Said Mahmoud, said for his part that this convention aims to promote, protect, and ensure the intrinsic dignity of people living with disability of all kinds. The delegation of the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports and the Minister of Labor in charge of the reform of administration dropped anchor this Tuesday in Obok. The ceremony held at the CDC in the town of Obok brought together about 20 young people from all corners of the north. These young people, made up of director and animator of CDC in the region of Tajura and Obok, will benefit from a technical and academic training of several weeks co-organized by the State Secretariat for Youth and Sport and the Ministry of Labor in charge of the reform of administration. The event was attended by the Prefect of the region, Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita, and the President of the Regional Council, Muhammad Hamad Ismail, the Secretary General of the Ministries concerned, and Ms. Khadija Ibrahim Idris, and Mr. Abdullah Ali Muhammad, the Director of INAP, Mr. Sharmaki Idris, as well as several other officials and members of the State Secretariat for Youth and Sports. In his speech, the President of Obok Council, Muhammad Hamad Ismail, indicated that I thank the authorities who gave the chances to our young people to participate in this training within the region. This training is of capital use for the young people in order to allow them to better insert themselves in the job market. And for his part, the Prefect of Obok, Mr. Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita, said in his speech that I thanked first of all the Secretary of State, which has done a remarkable job for the achievement of this project of diploma training for the benefit of the Obok youth. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Labor Abdallah Ali Mohammed has indicated in his speech that the project of training of young people initiated by the Department of Employment in collaboration with the Youth and Sport Department was a very commendable initiative which could allow many to find a chance to be trained and to work afterwards. The training is essential for a young person in order to prepare himself better for the job which will come. The Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Khadija Ibrahim Idris, has indicated in her speech that when we move from the capital to the interior region, in particular the region of Obok, the young people have effectively these kinds of training courses that can serve them in the future in the job market. In Ali Sabih, as usual, a strong delegation led by the President of the Regional Council, Omar Ahmed Wa'ais, and composed of Mr. Omar Idris Suge, the Deputy Prefect of the region, Ahmed Hamadou Ibrahim, Regional Inspector of Education, accompanied by his teams of pedagogical staff, visit the different center of the OTE fifth years. The OTE fifth years brought together some 773 candidates spread over 6 composition centers. These tests of national OTE fifth year was held in good conditions in all the centers of the regional region, said the Regional Inspector of Education of Ali Sabih, Mr. Ahmed Hamadou Ibrahim. The road security gendarmes, supported by their colleagues of the mobile gendarmerie, launched simultaneous raid on several points, notably in the Pika 14 sector. This operation, which particularly targeted alcohol outlets and diesel smuggler in this sector, resulted in the seizures of 500 bottles of Ethiopian brand alcohol beverage and 13 jerry cans containing chemical components used in the manufactures of shampoo, 15 jerry cans of diesel, as well as 3 containers and cylinder of diesel. These record seizures also allowed the gendarmes to shed light on this new traffic in fake shampoo. The methods of manufacturers and the various components of which are still to be determined and which are smuggled into the country, all those arrested during this operation were taken into the justice. For the international scene, Indian COVID-19 variant detected at least 53 territories. World Health Organization says the coronavirus variant detected in India for the first time has been officially reported in 53 territories. The World Health Organization announced in a report released on Wednesday. The WHO has also received information from unofficial sources that the variant has been found in 7 more territories, according to the UN Health Agency's weekly epidemiological update, bringing the total number of 60. According to the report, this variant shows increased transmissibility, while the severity of the cases involved is being investigated. The number of new cases and deaths of COVID-19 continued to decline last week, with over 4.1 million new cases and 84,000 additional deaths, representing decreases of 14% and 2% respectively from the previous weeks. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.